Hi there, I'm Vivian. Welcome to my video about writing paragraphs for CECS reports. Now, the body of the report, as we talked about in the last video, really provides that justification for your key message. So it has to be organized by the reasons for your key message. So if you think about your paragraphs as presenting key reasons that support your key message, that can be a useful way to help you structure your report. And really, a paragraph contains one main idea each. So thinking about a paragraph as presenting one main idea or one main reason for your key message can be really handy. Now, on this screen, I've got an image of a burger. And if you think about eating a burger, if you had a burger without any bread, it would be hard to eat it. You'd be really needing a knife and a fork to eat something like this instead. So thinking about it as similar to a paragraph, if you just had the middle part of the burger, which is really the evidence, your reader might get confused as to how that evidence all connects to each other. So every paragraph needs three main things. It needs a topic sentence, the top part of the bun, to introduce the key idea and how that relates to the key message. And then it's followed by the evidence and the analysis, followed by a final sentence, which might conclude or link the paragraph to the following one. Now, if you think of it as holding one idea together, that topic sentence and bottom sentence are really about your key idea. So usually they follow your words only. And if you think about your paragraph as having your words, then the analysis and the evidence based on other people's ideas and based on your own analysis, followed by another sentence that has your own words again, or your own key message again, that can be a really handy way to think of your paragraphs. And that will make them nice and easy for your reader to understand. So keep in mind that they're only supposed to be 150 to 200 words. And if they go longer than that, your reader might get confused. So start breaking the ideas up into sub-ideas if you need to do that. So let's take a look at a sample paragraph. Now, this is one from a results section of a report. So first of all, we have the topic sentence, which is the main idea and the argument. Now, by main idea, I mean, what is this particular paragraph talking about compared to the other paragraphs in the paper? So this particular paragraph is focusing on figure 1, so analysing figure 1. So that's just what their topic is for the paragraph. But the key thing, and this is something that a lot of people miss out on when they're writing reports, is to have the argument or the key message. In orange here, we see that figure 1 illustrates how the second order neighbour could help to increase the consensus speed. So this is really about that key message of why is this an effective protocol that they're looking at. So that key message is in the topic sentence, as well as having what's the paragraph talking about. Then we are following the topic sentence with evidence and analysis. So you see in purple, they've got evidence from the data that they're looking at, or evidence from the material that they're looking at, and it's talking about the figure 1. So they're really stepping us through figure 1 in quite a lot of detail. So 1A, 1B, 1C, and so on. And the analysis really shows why the second order neighbour could help to increase the consensus speed. So in red here, we see the reasons for why it helps to increase that speed. So think about your paragraph as having topic sentences that help to carry the main argument through your paper. So organize your writing around your topic sentences. You might actually like to do up an outline of your report before you even start writing it. Just an outline of your report where you have your topic sentences, where they say what the point of the paragraph is and how it connects to the key message. And that forms your outline. And then that way you can jump in when you have an hour or so to work on your report, just to then develop one or two of those paragraphs. But if you have that key message in your topic sentences, it can make it easy to write. Now, when it comes to the evidence that you have, so that evidence is comprised of your analysis. It might be the data and the computations or the coding that you've done. It can be the evidence from academic sources, and all of that can be counted as the supporting evidence for your paragraphs. And like I talked about before, analysis can include your own work and your analysis of other people's work. So there are different ways to incorporate other people's work into your own writing. So you might, for instance, summarize in your own words the key ideas of a whole paper or of a whole project that somebody else has done. You might paraphrase, where you take a particular idea or a specific element of that project by somebody else and you put it into your own words. Now, both of those will still need a citation, even though they're in your own words. A quotation is when you take words directly and you put quotation marks around it and a reference to say, this is a really useful way of thinking about it, or this is a really useful statement from somebody. Quotes are very uncommon or very rare in engineering and computer science reports, so use them sparingly. In fact, it's much better to either summarize, paraphrase, or synthesize. And synthesizing is when you're talking about multiple studies altogether. So it might be that you're saying, well, many studies have looked at consensus protocols. And so you might give 3 or 4 references just to back up that one idea. So that's where you're showing what the similarities are between different studies, or where you're showing how they relate to each other. And just taking a look at another paragraph and how it uses sources, you can see, for instance, in here, that in black, they're summarizing the idea from Bowell's study and Bassina and Kazra's study in their own words. In red, they're taking more specific ideas from the Hutton and Bradbury papers that they're using. And in blue is the quote. So in blue is where they have a quote from Hasanova et al. So remember, that's the exact same words as Hasanova et al. Used in their own work. And in grey here, we also have their analysis. So the students' own analysis of why those pieces of evidence are relevant to their key message. So remember, that's important to give as well, to explain how all that different evidence supports your key message. So remember, when you're writing a paragraph, present the findings based on evidence and make sure that you discuss each of the figures and tables or other visual elements that you use in your report within the paragraphs. So if, for instance, you put in a figure in your paper, you need to discuss it in the paragraph. It's not enough just to have the figure legend down below the figure itself. You need to actually analyze it in the paper. Now that means that you might need to think very carefully about which figures and tables and visual elements you include in your paper. You might not have space for all of the ones that you want. So you might then choose to use appendices, which are supplementary material after the references at the end of the paper. And in those appendices, you can put your raw data, you can put the working kind of analysis that you've done, or the other potential figures and tables that you want to present, but that aren't necessarily key to the main body of the paper. So ask your lecturer about using appendices and whether they're happy for you to use them. In sum, when you're writing a paragraph, keep thinking about how does it relate back to the key message. And one main idea per paragraph makes it easy to digest. So paragraphs contain 3 usually main things: topic sentences, evidence and analysis, and a concluding or linking sentence. In the example that we looked at today, that paragraph did not actually contain a concluding or linking sentence. And sometimes paragraphs don't, but they at least need the topic sentence and the evidence and analysis. Keep an eye out in the readings that you do for other paragraphs which do contain those concluding and linking sentences, because they can also be very useful. And each paragraph should be logically connected to the next one. So think overall about that structure and how the whole structure of the report can support your key message. Okay, our next video is going to be talking about how do you conclude your paper.